I don't know who you are except the fact that you're also an overthinker. I don't know what you do except also, of course, overthinking. But I know one thing for sure, and that is you and I both need a hobby. A hobby that's almost like your comfort place. You could go through a very exhausting and overwhelming day, but then you come back home and there's something that you can do to relax yourself, or something that you can just do to like pursue creativity or to feel more fulfilled. We genuinely need to bring back hobbies, and I mean like genuine hobbies, and not just, oh, I went to a pottery class once because it was trending on Instagram, or I went to play pickleball because it was trending on Instagram. I mean, like genuine creative hobbies that you can pursue frequently without any friction or resistance.
You're listening to Overthinking This by Ocean.
Hi guys, my name is Ocean. This is Overthinking This. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a podcast for all the overthinkers. So if you haven't joined the Overthinkers Club yet, you must follow the podcast, and you can also check out the Instagram pages to officially become a member. This is a podcast where we talk about things that only overthinkers think about. So I am 100% sure that you're going to love it. On today's episode, we're talking about the importance of hobbies, and please take this as a sign to pursue whatever you've been meaning to pursue, because I know there's something in the back of your head that you've been wanting to do for a while. And I think as an overthinker, you need a hobby. On some days where you've been overthinking about everything and anything, a hobby can bring so much peace to you. And sometimes, even if you're not an overthinker, you genuinely need to pursue something just for the fun of it, without the filter of, oh, I need to commercialize it, or I need to get something out of it, or I need to be perfect at it. Like, just the idea of sitting down and doing something for fun, it's very much required. That it's almost like working your brain, but like in the most relaxing way possible. And I think a huge reason why we don't pursue hobbies anymore, and also like a huge reason for almost all our unhappiness, is social media. Now, when I was growing up, the moment I sort of entered my teenagers, and even before that, social media was like already big. So I honestly don't know before social media if people were pursuing hobbies more, or they were like in the hustle of it, or maybe their distraction was like TV or something else. I am not sure, honestly, but it would be an interesting insight to see if hobbies were more prevalent before social media. But I think with social media, it's like your time is all gone scrolling. And on some days, you sit down and you're like, I'm just gonna spend some me time. I'm gonna take a break, and it's all just like scrolling on Instagram and watching YouTube videos. And a huge mistake I think that we're making is confusing our me time with scrolling on social media. Like, that's not me time, that's not a hobby, that's not self-love, self-care. You got to do something different if you want to call it me time or like a self-care activity. Of course, social media is a huge resistance in pursuing hobbies because it's such a great distraction. It's so convenient. It's like an instant source of dopamine. Why would I literally sit down with a sketchbook and sketch something when I can watch someone unbox the cutest and the coolest of stationery? It's more fun, it's more convenient, and I feel like I'm doing something good. But I think a huge reason why social media has ruined the idea of hobbies, and especially for creators, it is that you constantly think about how can I turn this into content. Like, I think this is a huge issue that I personally deal with. Even before I thought about pursuing an activity, if it's like, oh, I'm gonna start painting, even before I figured out how I'm gonna get my paints, or do I even have paintbrushes, my first thought is, how am I going to turn that into content? Am I going to do a time-lapse video, or I'm gonna do a voiceover video, or I'm gonna make a whole series about pursuing new hobbies? Everything has sort of become content. And once upon a time, creating content was a hobby. Like filming, editing, story podcasting was a hobby. And now it's just like, oh, I need to make content out of it. And the moment it's about, oh, I want to make content out of it, and then views and shares and follows, all of it goes to ruin. There's no purpose of hobby anymore. And it's almost like, if I'm living something, if I'm doing something, if I'm experiencing something, if I don't put it on social media, what's the point? Like, what's the point of even doing it to begin with? On another note, of course, I've been stating how hobbies should just be done for fun and without any ulterior motive in mind. But of course, it also has its own set of advantages. Like, it's fun, it's creative, it can help you relax, it helps you develop a new skill and all of that. But sometimes I think your hobbies or your like passions can reward you in very different ways. I could be wrong, but I remember watching this video years back. It was some motivational video. It was from a time of my life where I thought watching motivational videos would give me the inspiration that I needed. Sometimes it does. But I was watching this video that talked about connecting dots, and it was something around Steve Jobs, I hope, I believe, of how he took a hobby class once and he thought that it serves no purpose, but it happened to be to his greatest advantage in the future. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes you feel called towards something, inclined towards something, and it could lead to a greater purpose. Sometimes not everything is just a mere coincidence, or like, I sometimes do believe that everything serves a purpose, so you never know how pursuing a creative activity or ability could help you in the future. And just knowing something extra, having an extra skill always helps. I don't know why I got so aggressive saying that. I'm so sorry. I know this is not a hobby per se, but I'm just to give an example for how things can serve a purpose later. I was never the kind of person who would watch a lot of films and series earlier. Like, you could ask me the names of certain films and I'd be like, I haven't watched that, like, to most of the things. That's what I said. And then my current partner, he loves watching films and series. He's like a pure cinephile. He's watched almost all good things on the planet, and with him I started watching a lot of things. Like, so we rewatch classics every single time a new film or series comes up. We do watch it, and that's where I sort of got into the habit of doing that. The good thing about it is, one, of course, I got to develop a new passion and discover a new world of art. But the very interesting thing about it is that now I literally watch films and series for a living. And I could have never imagined that my job would demand me to watch films and series, but this one habit and hobby that I developed because of my partner, I feel like that was preparing me for what was to come next. Listen, it could be a pure coincidence in your eyes, but I personally do believe in everything making sense in the end, and it's all about like the Steve Jobs connecting dots kind of thing. I do believe that hobby was prepping me for what was to come next, and initially that hobby and that passion only helped me do well at this job, and now I've sort of developed a habit of it. So whenever we speak of hobbies, by the way, I know what your biggest excuse is going to be. You're going to tell me, oh, I don't have time. You don't have time? What's your screen time? Yeah, I know. All that screen time and you couldn't take out an hour for a hobby? Well, I hope I have inspired as well as threatened you to pursue something that you love or like or could possibly like. If you've been watching this podcast for a while now, you know that it's time for me to answer a question from you guys. I received this question in my DMs, and it was something around how can you provide support or emotional support to your overthinking partner. If you have a partner who overthinks, reassurance helps. It could be in the form of words of affirmation or gestures of love, whatever your partner's love language is, whatever your love language is. Reassurance really helps. Keeping them in loop, keeping them updated really helps. What I've also come to realize of overthinkers lately is that reassurance alone might not help as much as also giving them an insight into behind the scenes. Like, they want to know everything, and it's not like a controlling nature. It just helps them feel better if they know more about a certain situation. So the more details you give them, the more you make them feel like they're also part of the process, instead of just like, okay, you're like, I'm telling you what it is and you have to believe it. They might not believe your answer immediately. I'm not saying that they have trust issues, but I'm just saying that they like to know more details. And the more welcoming you are to that, the more cooperative you are with that, the more you act like also their best friend and not just a partner, I think you're going to have a good time dating an overthinker. However, I made a whole detailed episode about how to date an overthinker, and I listed almost all that I could. Like, it's a dating an overthinker 101 guide, so you should definitely watch that. Oh, another question that I really wanted to answer. Now, these are just like a bunch of questions that I've been asked lately, and it's about people saying that my partner sort of likes controlling what I wear, or partners saying that I'm not happy with how my partner dresses. There was this question about I questioned why my partner was wearing a short dress and she left me for that. Now, here's my personal take, and please know that everything that I say on this podcast is my personal take, and it can be right, it can be wrong. You're free to differ. I love to hear contradicting opinions as well, as long as you say it nicely. So here's my take, right? If you are not happy with how your partner dresses, right, you have the right to voice it. As long as you're doing it nicely, you're not being toxic, right? Like, you can say that. Like, if tomorrow my boyfriend's wearing a shirt that I don't really like, I'd be like, maybe you could try a different shirt or whatever. also respecting the fact that if he wants to wear it, if he feels like it, if that holds value for him, I should let him. But I have the right to express an opinion. So if you think that your partner is wearing a dress that you're not comfortable with, for whatever reason, sometimes you also need to realize that is the reason only your insecurity, or it also makes sense. But whatever it is, you have the right to express it. However, your partner also has the right to react to it however they want to, as long as, again, they're not being toxic. My point is, you should date people who dress similar to your tastes. I think that would simplify it so much. If you're the kind of person who feels more comfortable dating people who don't wear short dresses, who don't wear revealing clothes, then find such people. And if you're a woman and you like dating guys who don't show their shirtless bodies in Instagram, then you should find those kind of people. Having said that, it's completely okay to express your opinion. You can tell your partner to change, but if they're not willing to change, you have to decide what's more important. Is the person more important, or the way they're dressing more important? And if it's a deal breaker for you, then fine, you should totally respect that, and it's just easier to date people who dress how you want them to dress, and that's something that you can sort of figure out early on. So I do think that if you think it's going to be an issue for you later, think about it beforehand. Someone having an opinion about how you dress and just sharing it politely might not be the meanest of things. Like tomorrow, if I'm with my best of friends and I think she's wearing something that's not really suiting the occasion, that's not really, like, I know that she won't be comfortable in it, or it's a setting where I feel like she might feel unsafe, I will voice that, and I will not fear her calling me toxic or whatever. Having said that, I will also keep in mind that, if she wants to accept it or not, that's on her, and if she gets mad at me for that, like, that's a plausible reaction. I can't really control that. So if there's a person who's telling you that you should not dress a certain way, welcome their opinion, but decide what you want to do based on what you feel more comfortable with. If you're okay making minor changes to how you dress, then that's fine. But if you feel like that nagging or that toxic behavior is too much, or it's too controlling, or it's like someone's judging your character based on how you dress, you have all rights to leave. Sometimes people think that if your partner is not controlling what you wear, then they don't love you enough. For we've come to believe that the more toxic or possessive someone is, the more they love you. I think the underlying feeling here is that if someone is showing great interest in who you are, what you do, that means they care for you. And interest sometimes is confused for love. Again, please do not be fooled by just the perception of it on social media. See how you feel about it. If someone making comments about your clothing bothers you too much, you have all rights to distance yourself from that person. If you are with someone and their dressing sense is bothering you too much, you are free to keep your distance from that person. But you cannot expect to control the other person at all times. That obviously won't happen, just like most other things. Now, my friends, it's time for you to answer a question. And of course, you know what the question is going to be. I want to hear about your hobbies. So you either leave them in the comments, or usually you guys like DMing me more personally, so that's fine. You can DM those to me, leave it in the comment section, or DM, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. Hi, please don't mind the audio sounding very different now. I don't know what happened. I lost the audio in the last bit, so I'm just redoing it while I'm editing the episode. All I wanted to say is, number one, if you have any other questions or topics that you want me to talk about, then DM them to me or leave them in the comments. I would love to make a podcast episode about it. Secondly, if you enjoyed the episode, then give it 5 stars on Spotify, like it on YouTube, subscribe to the page, follow the podcast, check out the Instagram pages. You know the drill. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you liked the episode. And if you haven't yet, then join the club. It's fun here. I will see you super soon. Chalo. Bye.